Well, hello there. Welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, it's the end of February, and it is that time of the month where we'd like to do our Taste of Directors series, our monthly Director Spotlight series, where we'll turn the spotlight on a specific director or filmmaker and just give a taste of what that director has done and what they've contributed to the world of cinema. So in this series, I typically will give a little bit of a background about the director, how they got into filmmaking, talk about 3 or 4 films from that director's filmography, and just give you a little bit of a taste of what types of films that they have made in the entertainment industry. Now, as I said many times in this series, choosing 3 or 4 films from any director, particularly a prolific director that's been doing this for multiple decades, 3 or 4 films isn't necessarily going to give you a full depth and breadth of everything that that director has done, of course, but the idea is just to give a taste of what that director has done and what their contribution has been to the world of cinema. So today we are turning the spotlight on famous director David Fincher, who has given us a number of amazing films throughout the years, particularly some bangers from the 1990s. So on the other side of this, I'm going to talk about David Fincher films, and I want to hear in the comment section below what you think about David Fincher films, what some of your favorites from this director are, and just in general, where does David Fincher fit in your ranking of directors? Let me know all that in the comment section, but we're about to get into it. All right, we're talking Taste of David Fincher films, and I am really excited about this entry because there's a number of films from this director that are just absolute bangers. And I'm going to cover 4 films from this director today, and I'll get into those in just a moment. But let's take a little bit of a look into the background of this amazing director, David Fincher. So I'm going to add to the stage Mr. Fincher here. He was born in Denver, Colorado in, I believe, 1962, the early 1960s. He was born in Denver, Colorado. His family, at a very early age for him, his family moved to California, and he started getting interested into films at an early age. I think he was doing like super 8mm films. He had like a Super 8 camera, I believe, as a child, and was doing his little, films as a kid. So he got into filmmaking at an early age. He never actually formally went to film school, but his interest in filmmaking carried into his adulthood. He started doing, music videos for various artists and eventually got into directing feature films. You'll see here on the right, you'll see this indication or this logo for Propaganda. That is the production company that he and some other partners were involved in when they were producing these various music videos for different artists. So David Fincher has been in the industry for a number of years. He has been nominated for multiple Academy Awards. He has been the recipient of numerous awards throughout his career, and he is a very highly decorated director and an amazing filmmaker. So I've got 4 films that I'm going to talk about in this Director Spotlight series entry for David Fincher. And I really want to hear in the comment section, these are the 4 films I'm going to do. But I want to know what 4 films, if you were doing a director spotlight, what would be the 4 films you would choose? Here are my 4. I'm going to talk about 7 here from 1995, starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. I'm going to talk about The Game. Michael Douglas starred in this, Sean Penn. What a movie. Got the Criterion edition. Would love to see a 4K of that. 1999, Fight Club, starring Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. Really good movie. All these are good movies. All these are bangers. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American remake starring Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara in 2011. So those are the 4 films that I'm going to talk about in this director spotlight entry for David Fincher. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first film here. This is 7 This is from 1995. It is just an all-time classic thriller of a film that you just really can't even begin to fully unpack all the layers that are going on in this movie. It's just a fantastic, beautiful film. Well, I shouldn't say beautiful. It's an incredibly thrilling film from David Fincher that it keeps you gripped from start to finish as Morgan Freeman, who's an older detective. You have the young detective, Brad Pitt. They are investigating murders of a serial killer who is basically killing based on the theme of the seven deadly sins. And it is an absolutely amazing, amazing film. So it's an early masterpiece from David Fincher, and it's a dark and twisted thriller. You have Brad Pitt, you have Morgan Freeman. These two detectives are tracking down this serial killer, and it's through a city that is never named. So you never know the name of the city. So it's taking place in this city that could be anywhere. It could be the city you live in. And I think that's part of the effect of the film, is that it presents these crimes as being able to take place anywhere. And I think that's part of the dread and the unsettling feeling that is conveyed in this story. You do have Kevin Spacey, who plays a role in this film, and it's just an absolutely amazing film. The killer is, again, he's following the theme of the seven deadly sins as his modus operandi, and it's a very gritty atmosphere. It's raining through most of this film, so really adds to the grittiness of this particular film. And it's definitely a film that I highly, highly recommend. And it really, this film from 1995, Seven, really solidified David Fincher as a serious filmmaker. I have this old Blu-ray edition. This film is from 1999. So it does beg the question, will we get a 4K, a 25th anniversary 4K of Seven? That would be great. This is the old Digibook edition, and it's from like 2010, and it's old. It's pretty long in the tooth, this Blu-ray. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a 4K upgrade of this soon. Fingers crossed on that. So yeah, so that is Seven, starring Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. You also have Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays the wife of Brad Pitt's character in this film. Just an amazing movie. You see here gluttony, greed, sloth, envy, wrath, pride, lust, the seven deadly sins. They're featured in this film. Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, David Fincher. Seven. If you haven't seen it, check it out. All right, the next film that I'm going to talk about for David Fincher is a film that stars one of my favorite actors, Michael Douglas, who is the son of famous actor Kirk Douglas. And what an amazing family of entertainers and actors. But Michael Douglas stars in this film along with Sean Penn. They're brothers. And in this case, Michael Douglas is a successful businessman, and his brother, Sean Penn, pays for an expensive game for his brother Michael Douglas's character to participate in. This is the Criterion edition right here. And it says, the game, the enormously wealthy and emotionally remote investment banker Nicholas Van Orton, Michael Douglas, receives a strange gift from his ne'er-do-well younger brother, Sean Penn, on his 48th birthday, a voucher for a game that, if he agrees to play it, will change his life. Thus begins a trip down the rabbit hole that is puzzling, terrifying, and exhilarating for Nicholas and viewers alike. This multi-layered Norrish descent into one man's personal hell is also a surreal, meta-cinematic journey that 2 years after the phenomenon of Seven further demonstrated that director David Fincher was one of Hollywood's true contemporary visionaries. So this film came out in 97, 2 years after 1995 Seven. Again, two amazing bangers that came out in the 1990s from David Fincher. This is one of them right here. This is the Criterion edition on Blu-ray. This is another title I would love to see get a 4K upgrade. This is one that is based on a new restored digital transfer. So a new 4K restoration on a Criterion 4K would be very much welcome. I would really love that. This is a great film. I love Michael Douglas in this. He's really good. Sean Penn plays his role perfectly in this film. Really, really good movie. The Game, starring Michael Douglas. Comes in at 128 minutes, and it's really good. Highly recommend The Game from 1997. All right, two films down, two films to go. The next film here is Fight Club from 1999. This is This is a crazy, crazy movie. You've got Edward Norton, who plays this guy who's trying to get his life on an upward trajectory, trying to get himself motivated to be the man he needs to be. He goes to different support groups, trying to find himself, actually goes to various support groups that he's not even a part of, to just be a part of something. And he encounters another character played by Brad Pitt, who is a soap salesman, and their relationship, they start these fight clubs and go down this very surreal path. And it's just a fascinating, fascinating film that goes through different turns along the way. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just a great film that I highly, highly recommend. It is called Fight Club, and it's from 1999. So you had 1995, 97, you had The Game. 99, you had the Fight Club. Three amazing films from the 1990s from David Fincher. Three absolute bangers. And Fight Club is one of them. So, of course, when you're talking about David Fincher films, Fight Club has to be included in that discussion. It's a cult classic, and it has a lasting impact on pop culture, just given the way that this film was made and sort of the way that it's presented in its narrative. Is very meta in some ways in how is laying out different things in the story. So I really do appreciate that. You have Edward Norton, Brad Pitt. You have Helena Bonham Carter, who plays a love interest of these characters. So in a very interesting way. And it explores themes of consumerism, masculinity, and existentialism through a very provocative storyline and stylized direction. So highly recommend Fight Club. This was the 10th anniversary edition from 2009 on Blu-ray. So this is another title well overdue for a 4K upgrade. We'll see if we get that anytime soon. So that is Fight Club. Really, really good movie. Last on the list, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is from 2011. This is a David Fincher directed film starring Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. This is a remake of a film that came out 2 years earlier that was from Sweden. So this is the Swedish original, which is excellent. And this is one of those examples, this film here is an example of a remake that really works. Similar to Insomnia, which was another Scandinavian film that was remade in the United States a few years later. That one worked. This one works too. So really, really good movie. And I'll just read the back. It says, disgraced journalist Michael Blomqvist, played by Daniel Craig, accepts an invitation to surreptitiously investigate a 40-year-old unsolved murder on behalf of the victim's uncle, Swedish industrialist Henrik Manger, played by Christopher Plummer. Meanwhile, tattooed hacker Lisbeth Salander, played by Rooney Mara, hired to investigate Blomqvist, discovers the truth behind the conspiracy that led to his fall from grace. Thrown together by fate, the unlikely duo uncovers a secret history of murder and sexual abuse festering beneath the veneer of Sweden's industrial past, all the while drawing closer to a quiet evil waiting to engulf them both. So really good film, very similar to the original. And I just think that this remake is extremely well made by David Fincher. And I think Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara do a great job playing these roles. Really, really good movie. This is a nice sort of digipack Blu-ray set here that I got several years ago. Don't know if that's going to be up for a 4K upgrade anytime soon. I'm not really worried about that as much as I would love to see 4K upgrades of these other three films here. But in any event, these are the four films that I am featuring in this Taste the Director series for David Fincher films. You have Seven from 1995. You have The Game from 1997, Fight Club from 1999, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo from 2011. All four of these films are absolute bangers from David Fincher. And of course, he has some other amazing films that I've seen as well, including the Criterion edition here, Spine 476 of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, starring Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has played in a number of David Fincher films. This is Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett. Amazing film, as well as like Gone Girl, starring Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike. So many amazing films from David Fincher. Zodiac, which I still need to finish watching, which is a really, really good film set in San Francisco, again, following the path of the serial killer. So just amazing films from this director. But let me know in the comment section below, what are some of your favorite films from David Fincher? What are some of your favorite films from this director? What are some of your favorite Fincher actor collaborations through the years? And how does David Fincher rank for you amongst your favorite directors? Is he in your top 10, your top five? Where does David Fincher fall for you among your favorite directors? Let me know all that in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.